Had a bunch of Chinaberry logs sitting in my workshop for the last at least year, maybe two, I'm not even sure now. I just went out and cut a couple of them up into short sections, and I'm getting ready to mill them. I'm going to paint the ends with anchor seal. Honestly, the things feel really dry. We'll go ahead and do it just in case, and then I'll sticker them and band them when I'm done. Because I imagine they do still have some drying out to do. This is a serving board I made from some of this Chinaberry that I milled when I first got it. It's got a really beautiful grain. According to Wikipedia, this is a form of mahogany. It grows all over around here. I've never heard of it being mahogany. Whatever, it's really pretty. I'm going to get this on. I've got to change my bandsaw blade, put my log milling blade on. Okay, the first order of business is to get this Olson blade off of here. Actually, first order of business is to unplug the saw. That's the light. I think if I had milled all this lumber, or milled all these logs in the lumber when they were wet, probably would have done the job, but now that they've had time to dry out, they're just not cutting. I'm having to go way too slow and just really fight the blade, and it's drifting all over the place. It's not terrible, but I think I'm going to have to put this project on hold and maybe get a carbide blade, something way more aggressive than what I've got here. A few days ago I tried resawing some Chinaberry logs into lumber. I had bought this Timberwolf 2.3 TPI blade specifically for that. When the logs were green, this thing just melted through them, but that was about a year ago, and they've been sitting in my shop this whole time, and now they're really dried out, and the blade will cut, but the feed rate is just so slow it's going to take forever. So I've got a 2-tooth carbide blade. I'm hoping between the more aggressive tooth count and the carbide tips that it'll cut this dry wood. So I'm getting ready to change the blade out. If you've got green logs to mill, this 2.3 TPI Timberwolf will do a great job. I should have gone ahead and milled all the logs when I first got them. This is a dark stone blade. I don't know anything about the company. One thing, it's got a nice smooth weld on it. And there's some pretty little carbides. I'll have to get a close up on these. It looks like what you'd see on a regular carbide tooth table saw blade. I'm going to adjust the tension for the 3/4 inch blade. See if it's still tracking. And it's not, it's riding forward now that I've cranked up the tension. Yeah, it's off the guide bearing, rear guide bearing. Darn. The thing's starting to lock up. I need to change it. Even though these are sealed bearings, they still get sawdust packed up in them. If you get one that's not turning freely, pop the seals out and I can almost guarantee you're going to have sawdust packed in there. All you have to do is clean it out, wash it out with paint thinner or something and re-grease it and pop the seals back in and you're good to go. I think it's just sawdust behind this one. Now that I've spun it a few times, it feels like it's turning freely. I need to make me a note saying which way to turn this knob to tilt the blade which direction. So we're going to try going in clockwise. And that's the wrong direction, so I'm going counterclockwise. And it still seems to be the wrong direction. Yeah. Well, let's try the other way again. Okay. It's like a flash drive. You go to put it in one way and it won't go. Then you flip it over, you put it in the other way, it won't go. Then you flip it back over the first way you tried it and then it goes in. Alright, looking good on the top. The teeth are hanging off the tire just a little bit on the bottom. I'm ready to make the first cut with my dark stone carbide blade. The log side is perfectly straight. So the board I cut has a bow in it that I thought was drift, but it's actually just the board bowed once I cut it. And that's the only explanation for the board being bowed and the log still being perfectly straight. So yeah, I think the blade did a really good job. Got a couple decent little slabs out of this log so far. Looks like I can get one more out of it. I need to make some modifications. I think I'm going to add a taller resaw fence to my bandsaw fence. With the log down the size it is now, it's not wanting to clamp back into my milling sled. The ends of this clamp are really slippery, and this end especially tends to turn, push out as I tighten it in. So I think I'm going to drill a couple of holes and put a screw through to help grip my logs, because they're wanting to slide out. And the sled's working okay, but I think I'm going to add some rulers. Add a ruler on each end, just some stick-on rulers, to make it easier to get my measurements as I'm moving over. And I'm going to change out these nuts for wing nuts to make it easier to reposition. But overall, everything's working well. I think I'll be able to get this Chinaberry milled up into something useful. Yeah, got quite a bit of this stuff I need to mill into boards. Good thing is it's dry, possibly dry enough to use. And you get a moisture meter and check it out, but it's close. So there's one of the carbide teeth. It's really hard to get this camera to focus up this close, but yeah, looks just like a carbide tooth. Looks just like you'd expect a carbide tooth to look. So after the first couple cuts, I'm really happy with this dark stone blade. I mean, just look at that thing. If that won't make lumber, I don't know what will.